Robert Barclay Allardyce, Esquire of Uri, succeeded his father in the 18th year of his age. He was born in the month of August 1779, and at 8 years was sent to England to receive his education. His academical studies were completed at Cambridge, after which he embarked on the great theatre of life under the protection of curators who managed his affairs in terms of his father's settlement until he arrived at the age of 21. He was descended from an ancient and honourable family and was known in the sporting world by the title of Captain Barclay. Captain Barclay early displayed a strong predilection for the manly sports, and when only 15 years of age, he entered into a match with a gentleman in London to walk 6 miles within an hour, fair toe and heel for 100 guineas, which he accomplished on the Croydon Road in the month of August 1796. His next performance took place 2 years after, August 1798, and he was equally successful. He matched himself against Ferguson, a celebrated walking clerk in the city, to go from Fenchurch Street, London, to the 10th milestone beyond Windsor, and back. Barclay performed the distance, 70 miles, notwithstanding the heat of the weather, in 14 hours, beating the clerk by several miles. In November 1800, he walked 64 miles in 12 hours, including the time requisite for taking refreshment. He started from Uri at 12 at night and went to Ellon in Aberdeenshire, where he breakfasted and returned by 12 midday. This walk was performed as a trial preparatory to a match he had undertaken to accomplish in December following. He had engaged to go 90 miles in 21 hours and a half for a bet of 500 guineas with a Mr. Fletcher of Bollingshoe, a gentleman of turf notoriety. But unfortunately he caught cold after one of his sweats while training and became so ill that he was unable to start on the day appointed, and the match of course was lost. Barclay next year, 1801, appeared very conspicuously in the annals of the sporting world. He again betted with Fletcher that he would walk 90 miles in 21 and a half successive hours. The bet was 2,000 guineas, and the ground chosen for the performance of the match was the line of road from Brechin to Forfar in the county of Angus. He accomplished 67 miles in 13 hours, but having incautiously drank some brandy, he became instantly sick and consequently unable to proceed. He now renounced the bet, and the umpire retired. But after 2 hours' rest, he completely recovered and could easily have finished the remainder of the distance within the time. Although Barclay had lost 2 considerable bets with Mr. Fletcher of Bollingshoe, he was still confident of being able to perform 90 miles in 21 hours and a half, and again matched himself to go the distance within that time for 5,000 guineas, to be decided in the month of November. He immediately went into training under Mr. Smith, an old farmer on Lord Falkenberg's estate, who was reckoned very knowing in all sporting science and very skillful in the best mode of training for pedestrian feats. In the month of October, he made an experimental trial in his lordship's park and went 110 miles in 19 hours and 27 minutes. The state of the weather was extremely unfavourable as it rained all day, and he was up to the ankles in mud. Considering every circumstance, this performance may be deemed the greatest upon record, being at the rate of upwards of 135 miles in 24 hours. By the agreement, Barclay was to give Mr. Fletcher 8 days' notice of the day on which he was to start. The time was accordingly fixed for Tuesday, the 10th of November, and the ground on which the bet was to be decided was the space of 1 mile on the high road between York and Hull, about 16 miles from the former place. The contracting parties measured the ground, and a post was fixed at the end of the mile. In turning this post, it required a pace and a half additional each mile, which were not taken into the measurement. Persons were stationed at the winning post to notch down the rounds and to observe that everything was done in a fair manner. On each side of the road, a number of lamps were placed for the purpose of giving light during the darkness of the night. On Monday evening, Barclay appeared on the ground, accompanied by several of his friends a few minutes before 12 o'clock, and Mr. Fletcher also attended. Precisely at 12, 6 stopwatches were set and put into a box at the winning end, which was sealed. At the same time, Barclay started. He was dressed in a flannel close shirt, flannel trousers and nightcap, lamb's wool stockings, and thick-soled leather shoes. He went the 2 first miles in 25 minutes and 10 seconds, and continued nearly at the same rate till he had gone 16 miles, when he halted. The house into which he went to refresh was situated near the right side of the course, about 10 yards from the roadside, which in going and coming made 20 yards, not included in the measurement. He remained about 10 minutes in taking refreshment and changing clothes, when he proceeded with his match went 15 miles more, and then refreshed and changed as before. At 7 in the morning, which was rather hazy, Barclay appeared to be somewhat dull from the dampness of the night air. Betting, however, was 2-1 and 5-2 in his favour. After refreshing, he was more cheerful and went 16 miles more with much apparent strength, going each 2 miles in about 25 minutes and 20 seconds. By 11, he had gone 50 miles and appeared to proceed on his course with great ease and vigour. Betting was now 4 and 5-1 in his favour. When he had gone 60 miles, he stopped to refresh and change clothes. He remained about 10 minutes in the house and came out in high spirits with much cheerfulness in his countenance. Betting was now in his favour 6 and 7-1. He proceeded till he had gone 70 miles, scarcely varying and regularly performing each round of 2 miles in 25 minutes and a half, when he again refreshed and changed clothes. He appeared well and strong and resumed his match in a gallant style. He refreshed twice more and performed the whole distance by 22 minutes, 4 seconds past 8 o'clock on Tuesday evening, being 1 hour, 7 minutes and 56 seconds within the specified time. When he had finished, he was so strong and hearty, and in fact so well, that he could have continued for several hours longer, and might have gone 20 or 30 miles farther. Thousands of spectators on foot and on horseback attended during the course of his walking, and he was loudly cheered and carried on the shoulders of the multitude.
Yeah, I'll take a walk.
Over to Kirk Douglas's house.